All right, welcome back. It is, let me pull the zoom out there, 4th of July, Independence Day, 2022. About midday, noonish, and I am just out here getting ready to get started on a project of mine. I'm not sure if I'm going to release this video first or if I'm going to release another set of videos that I shot yesterday working on the old square body. If I'm going to release those afterwards or if I'm even going to release them at all, I don't know yet, because for the longest time all my videos on my channel have been shot with my cell phone and not really so much edited at all. It's just basically been the raw footage. Just found a program, an app on my phone that I can just combine the segments of videos into one big video, throw them on there. Haven't really edited. Well, I got some editing software on my laptop, so the videos I shot yesterday will be some experimenting videos, I guess, to learn how to use the programs. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna upload those or not. So if I do, you'll probably hear some repeat of what I'm saying here, but this is the new garage. So we did finally get a house with a garage, and yeah, it's got a lot of junk in it. That's the old transmission out of this thing. It's a 96 Jeep Grand Cherokee. We just put a rebuilt transmission back into it that we pulled out of a junkyard and had a reputable transmission shop in our area rebuild, and we swapped it out ourselves. We'd actually just finished that project. And then I got this whole section right here, all right here, needs to be cleaned out, because this is eventually going to be my work area, because I got my little toolbox there. I'm eventually going to get one as big as that big 72 incher that's going to go right here. We're going to redo the bench work right here, so that way this is my side, and then I got a couple of engines I'm going to be doing video series on. I am going to reference Uncle Tony's Garages. Obviously beat me to it, but I will be doing a Chrysler Slant 6 for another project, a friend of mine. And then I got a engine that I'm going to be building for square body, old and gray. That's going to go in that as soon as this is done and whatnot. I still drive truck long haul, so I might be doing some trucking videos now that I got some editing software I can do some editing on, and we'll take things from there. But I want to show my newest acquisition, which is this 2001 Ram 1500. So yeah, it's got the typical Chrysler clear coat paint problem, and that's this whole hood. When I bought this back in February, end of February, beginning of March, still had most of its clear coat, and you can clearly see how much of it's come off since then. I mean, there's hardly any clear coat left on the hood. The roof is looking the same. I mean, the clear coat's really coming off. Even the Jeep's clear coat's coming off. I mean, look at that. So, four-wheel drive, but the four-wheel drive don't work. Typical. I get a four-wheel drive truck and it don't work. But I'll be fixing that. That was from the previous owner, and I actually kind of like that, except it don't lock. That's the only part. It's got the suicide rear doors, but the interior handles here don't work, so I got to tear that apart and fix it. I do believe it's on both doors. It's got, I think, almost 200,000 miles on it. Let's check the old odometer. So I can pull the keys out. Let's see what the old odometer says. That's the trip. 197, almost 100, just about 198,000. It does have a check engine light on, a dreaded 420 code. Catalyst efficiency below threshold. Hi, nephew. That was my nephew. So, but overall in bad shape. Does have a backup cam that I'm removing. Too much technology, don't want it. You know, people rely too much on that shit, and it's where they're becoming lazy. Yeah, the previous owner's kids thought they were all hot shit and burned the rubber off the tires, and whatnot. And then this side's got a bad wheel bearing on it, and you can see the tire damage there. So this will be getting new tires. Since Utah doesn't do safety inspection anymore, yeah, I was able to get it licensed registered as long as it passed emissions. Yeah, go figure. And they claim having emissions and no safety is safer for our roads. I think the exact opposite. I'd rather have my vehicle inspected manually, ensure that it's being safe, that it is mechanically safe to be on the road, all right, as opposed to straight up just emissions like California. It goes to show you how the idiocy here. So just saying. Let's pop the old ranch, see what's under here. It's your typical stock Chrysler 5.9 liter V8 Magnum. It's the 360. So yeah, and today, because of the 420 code and because of how it runs, it does run a bit rough. Yeah, I'm going to be doing a tune-up. Plugs, wires, cap, rotor, oil change, air filter, you know, all the typical tune-up stuff. That's what I'm going to be doing today, and I'm going to bring you guys along with me. Now, there's plenty of videos on doing tune-ups, all right, on vehicles, all right. This isn't so much as educational, it's just kind of a vlogging on my newest acquisition here. But you could learn something from it. So, yeah, I've never done a tune-up on one of these. This is actually the first Dodge I've ever owned, and I've wanted one of these body style of trucks for a while. And be honest with you, Cummins is a great engine, but I'm not a fan of them, simply because that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants a Cummins. I actually wanted a 2500 of this body style with a V10 in it. Yeah, they drink gas, but at least I'm not one of them damned Cummins owners, because everybody seems to LS swap and Cummins swap everything. I don't want to be like everybody else. So this will do just fine with me, for me. One of the things I did do off camera is I put a new battery in it. I rebuilt the drum brake assemblies in the back. I was driving down the road. I ended up doing a slight hard braking event, and heard what sounded like a spring stretching and popping, and then snapped, and pedal went to the floor, and I started leaking brake fluid profusely out the back and whatnot. So yeah, I ended up blowing a wheel cylinder. So that's one of the first things I did. Next, I did the battery the day I bought it, because the battery was smoked when I picked it up from the previous owner. And then about a week later, while I still was on the temporary tag, I had the rear brake problem. So I've got brand new drums, brand new shoes, hardware, wheel cylinder. So everything minus the inspection, the dust cover in the back. So everything for the drum brake assemblies is brand new. So those have been done. I have not done the fronts yet, and I will be doing that. But I was on a time crunch, so I didn't get any of that on video. Another thing I also did is this thing had the dreaded Dodge Wander. So I did get up here and change the drag link on the driver's side, the upper end. Sorry, I'm on the wrong end here, thinking it's England. But yeah, that piece right there connects to the Pittman arm and whatnot. So that's the inner upper ball joint, or tie rod end. I replaced that, which did tighten up the steering a bit. So I'm actually and it caused the steering wheel to be off by about 1/8 of a turn. So I'm going to be straightening that out, straighten the steering wheel out also later today, so I can actually kind of get that dialed in. I will be replacing the rest of the drag link and tie rods at a later date, but the next thing after the tune-up here to try to address the 420 code is I will be doing wheel bearings on both sides, because this thing's got a nasty ass clicking noise coming from the passenger side. And judging by how bald that tire is, which, yeah, I do need to change it. So before you guys nail me in the comments, I'm going to be working on getting new tires for this. As a matter of fact, that is actually not really drivable. That has literally no tread left, and I have a feeling I'm going to start seeing cords here soon. So, yeah, this did have tread on it. So I do need to address that wheel bearing on this side sooner than later. And then figure out, that side's... Looking at this tire here, this tire is also bald as shit, so that's going to need to be addressed. This one's a little overinflated, it looks like, maybe, but like I said, this thing's going to need new tires. This is the only decent tire, but it's still pretty worn down as well. Out of all of them, that's the driver front. So I think that's actually going to be the next thing I'm going to be addressing is his tires. The other thing I also did is the previous owner, a friend of mine actually, said that the AC didn't work. So I just did one of those charge at home kits right here, I think. No, so over here. Right there's the low side port. And it just needed a charge. Problem is my blend door under the dash is stuck on hot. And those blend door motors are not cheap. $250 is what I priced them at. Even online, Amazon, Rock Auto, they're still right around $200. That's fucking expensive. So I'm gonna see if I can my luck at a junkyard to try and see if I can find a working one there. Yeah, junkyards, you really don't want to trust them, but I do have a tool that I can use. If I just take a small 12-volt battery that I can use to test on that, and that's called a power probe. And I can use a power probe to test those motors, just to test the motor and see if it actually works. So I will be doing that as well, because it's July, it's fucking hot. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's do a fire up on this before I start the tune up on it. Get that engine oil warmed up so I can change the oil in it. But I haven't touched the engine or done anything to the engine since I bought it. So this is as it was when I bought it. Fire's right up, obviously. It does have a slight mess. I have checked the codes. It's the 420 code. The downstream sensor isn't operating like it should, but I'm going to do, because considering the condition, how the engine's running, it's got a slight miss. It does have increased fuel consumption, and this thing drinks gas like a big block. Like big block Ford, big block Chrysler, with days of old. So yeah, it's not supposed to get like that. But you can, if you can see it in the camera, the engine is shaking. It does have a slight miss. So it does need a tune-up. So I do have all the stuff for a tune-up. Plugs, plug wires, air filter, 6 quarts of oil, oil filter. I do have all that. I know a lot of people out there, for some reason, say stick with OEM and whatnot, but since I've heard about these and realized and found that these were available at the local auto parts stores, O'Reilly sells these. I've put these in every single vehicle I've ever owned. The Chevy has them. That was actually a video I was doing, was putting a used set of these in that I had in the Chevy that I bought brand new. All right, I put these back in. Runs way better. I've had these in my 98 Grand Cherokee over 10 years ago. I put those in. I put these in my 09 Cobalt, and now I have them in my Chevy. And I've actually noticed a night and day difference in how the engines run. They run smoother. They actually do run a bit cooler. They have more power. And I noticed I even got fuel savings in them. I actually had to adjust the carburetor when I put these used ones back in that I originally had in the truck a couple of years ago. Only ran them for about a year. Pulled them out, put in a set of NGKs because the carburetor was running rich, and I figured I'd fouled them. But I kept them because when I pulled them out, they actually looked pretty good. But I put a set of NGKs in. It's NGK Platinums, I think. And I put these in, and it runs way better. It actually runs smoother, doesn't have a miss, even after adjusting the idle mixture screws on the carburetor. So I'm going to give these a try and see if they actually work in this, and see if I can get better mileage out of it once I get everything changed out. Now, when it comes to other parts, or people who swear by certain brand names, get MSD, get Precision, whatever. But you know what? For a cap and rotor, when you actually look at it, and I'll show you something here. Sorry about the shitty ass camera work. Let me show you something here. This is your rotor, or rotor button, or button, whatever it is you want to call it. And you see it's got an aluminum contact right here. And it looks like maybe a coated brass contact there. Okay, at this point, that's all you're going to get is either aluminum or brass. All right, unless you really want to spend a shit ton of money, order online, which are practically unobtainium, and get gold, which they do make gold colored or gold rotor buttons and caps. And let me show you something on the cap. Same thing, aluminum contacts inside and out. All right, and you got brass. Both conduct electricity well, both will corrode. Hold on a second. All right, well, hopefully through the magic of editing I can edit that out, but aluminum contacts, top and bottom. The rotor button was the same thing, aluminum contacts. Aluminum conducts electricity well, not the best, obviously, platinum, iridium, other materials, but they don't make old school cap and rotors with those materials. And even if they did, they would be probably super expensive, because when you look at an iridium cord spark plug, they're expensive. All right, they don't make gold plate or gold cord spark plugs, you know, with the best electrical conductors, neither do with plugs. So with this stuff, it doesn't matter if I bought Precision, not Precision, but the other brand Standard, or if I bought Excel or MSD, it really doesn't matter. They're all pretty much made with the same materials. All right, and you could say quality. Yeah, I've used them all and I've gotten roughly the same performance, fuel mileage, engine drivability, and all that jazz, whether I've used Excel, MSD, the, you know, proprietary part store brand, or the name brand like Standard or whatnot. All right, it doesn't matter. Not to mention, these have got a lifetime warranty on them, just like the Standard ignitions do. All right, so it doesn't matter at this point. They're made by the same people. Quality is roughly the same, just different color plastics, same aluminum or brass contacts, and you both get the same, honestly, get roughly the same conductivity out of them. They both corrode just as equally bad, and you don't have to pull them off, scrape the corrosion off, whether you have aluminum or brass. I've not seen a difference in how my engines run, or seen a difference in fuel economy or things like that, whether I'm running brass contacts or aluminum. So this stuff, as long as it's brand new, it'll last probably about another 50,000 miles before it needs to be changed again. All right. All right, plugs, on the other hand, you do get what you pay for on those. All right, I have noticed the difference between buying the, like at O'Reilly's, the Omni Spark brand. All right, that's good enough to get you by if you're on a budget. Personally, I've used these Ultimas on other projects, and I've found that they do get, I have noticed a better performance out of my engine, better fuel economy with them. So just simply by changing these out to a better plug wire. And the Ultima Selects are better. They are a bit more pricey, but they're well worth it. All right, that I will say. I have used the MSD wires, I've used Excel wires, and they're just as good as these. I just rather have these because these are already got the ends on them. They're already cut to length, so I don't have to make my own. They're already ready to go. All right, when it comes to filters, on the other hand, also, I use Wicks. I've had good performance with Wicks. These filter better, they last longer than some of the other brands. So that's just your preference at this point. But the one thing I have noticed, as I've watched videos, I've been on forums, and I've noticed people are asking questions, and a lot of questions, that could simply be answered by getting one of these. These are $25. Most auto parts stores, if not all, have them. Now, I know Chilton's and Haynes both are going over to digital downloads, and they're no longer printing these anymore in a lot of cases, especially for older vehicles. But for roughly the same price, if you want a printable, if you want an actual printed copy, and you can't find them used, can't find them brand new anymore, spend the $20 or so, download it, and then go to your office supply store, your Staples and or Walmart's office section, and get a binder, a ream of paper, print it out, put it in a binder, and now you have a printed copy of the book. In my opinion, could end up being better quality, because then you can get your greasy fingerprints on the paper sleeves that you would stick the sheets in, and the paper wouldn't get dirty, compared to handling this that doesn't have that type of protection on it. And if you wanted to go even further and spend a little more money, you can have the pages laminated. You can put them even into a Photoshop program, especially where the vacuum and electrical diagrams are, if you know what you're doing, and can even have those color coded and actually improve on the quality of these even better if you wanted to. If you wanted to spend the time to do that. But you can still get these. I just recently bought this a couple months ago. All right, it's $25. That's probably going to be right around the same price everywhere, but you still can get them. And a lot of those questions can be answered simply by using this book. You can get fluid capacities, fluid types, firing orders, spark plug gaps, timing on these. Now this truck, you time it by the computer, even though it's got a distributor, and you would think throwing a timing light and adjusting the distributor. Yeah, no, Chrysler set it up to where your timing is controlled by the computer. In order to change timing, you got to have the program, plug it into the OBD2 port to change the timing. It's the same thing on the Jeeps over there. I found that out when I had my Jeep, is you can't adjust the timing at the distributor. It's got to be adjusted at the computer. All right. But again, these books have that information in it. They have your timing information in it. And a lot of that can be answered if you simply read these. This is like your holy Bible to your vehicle. This tells you. Now, a lot of people will sit and argue that these don't have all the information. Well, these are only designed for the at-home DIYer mechanic. These are not full-on shop manuals. You can get a dealer shop manual made by Chilton's, made by Haynes, that's a lot thicker than this. I mean, they're twice as thick, that has every specification and procedure needed to fix your vehicle. These ones here that you can get at your parts store are geared for the DIYer. This is the stuff that they felt the DIYers could handle. All right. So yes, these would come in handy. They don't give you everything, but they give you almost everything you're going to need to know to do a DIY type job. So, my opinion, invest in one of these. You're going to have the vehicle for a long period of time and you intend to fix it yourself. First thing you should get, not radios, not rims and tires, one of these. So I'll get back with you when we start the project.